People love slapping.
They love slapping. Yes.
Are you shocked?
No, I'm not shocked because I have this sort of gut thing I have. And when I first started watching it, what's crazy is 2 nights ago, we did the event here, and the guy who won the world title was the guy that got me into it. When I started watching this stuff a few years ago, this guy named Dumpling out of Siberia, Russia. Okay?
You have the best
I'm not kidding
job.
you. I'm not kidding you. When we first paid him, I think he wanted $25,000 and 3 goats.
Did you come up with a male or female?
Goats?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that question, but he got 25,000 and 3 goats. That was the first, Dumpling from Siberia, the guy who got me into this, became the world champion here in Saudi Arabia.
I think it seems more painful than getting punched.
I don't know about that. What you're going to watch tonight, listen, you take a minimum of 3 slaps and slap.
Yeah.
You're going to see shins to the face, elbows,
it's pretty...
kicks, slams. Yeah. You slap me all day. Shin to the face is nah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
Or an elbow.
I saw you 2 weeks ago on stage at the inauguration. What was that like?
It was awesome. Obviously, like me, you have a great relationship with this guy, and to see him to be this far away when he was taking his oath, how cool is that? I mean, it was awesome. So
I think you've known him better than almost anyone around him for longer.
He and I are very close.
I know, and have been for a long time, and that became pretty obvious late in the campaign when, even though you're not political, you wound up kind of associated with Trump just because you know him so well. Do you think he's changed since July when he got shot? Do you notice a change?
For the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I think that, listen, at the end of the day, as resilient and as tough as this guy is, when you almost get assassinated the way that he was, I think it messes with you a little bit. And the thing about him is, I talked to him. I was flying to Italy when he was shot at. And I called him as soon as I landed. And he had just got home from the hospital. And he seemed unfazed.
Yes.
Which is, it's not humanly possible, but he did. But then after that, he flew the next day to the RNC in Milwaukee and literally never rested, never took a break, never stayed out of the limelight after almost getting shot. And I don't know, I just felt like for him, it affected him, but he made a complete recovery from that thing.
He did. I talked to him also that night and he seemed totally unaffected, but how could you be totally unaffected? Do you think there were long-term good consequences? I mean, he went on to be more successful than he's ever been, right?
It's just a testament to his toughness, his resilience, his grittiness. And I think this is what I truly believe. I think that to his core, he believes that God spared him to run this country for the next 4 years. And I think that had a lot to do with his mentality coming out of that, assassination attempt.
Because he does seem calmer. He certainly seems more decisive and in command. I mean, that's just from watching it.
Brilliant. Tucker, I went to Mar-a-Lago to be with him election night. He hadn't slept in like 72 hours. Then he wins the election. I jump on a plane. I flew to Las Vegas and picked up my wife, and then I flew to Hawaii. And the guy's calling me the guy doesn't sleep. He just keeps going and going and going. And the rallies that he was doing leading up to the election night. And I left election night. I jumped on the plane at 4 a.m. He was still up when I left at 4 a.m. And I literally, I don't know if the guy slept since then. It's unbelievable.
All of that is totally real and on a diet that you would not recommend to any person.
Never seen him still. Never seen him drink water. And, I've been with him a lot since the election. Still haven't seen him drink water. He doesn't. It's just, he's.
What do you think that? Do you have any guesses? I mean, you're in the business of like getting maximum performance out of body and mind and spirit.
Right.
And he's doing the opposite of everything you'd recommend, but, running the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any guesses as to how that happens?
I don't know. He's unlike any human that I've ever met, and I say it all the time. I've never seen anybody that operates the way that this man does. And at such a high, and you know what was badass? The press conference that he had the other day, right? When the helicopter crashed into the plane.
Yeah.
Room was packed. He's calling off questions. People are jumping over each other. Their hands are thrown up. When have you seen that kind of energy in the White House, especially, within the last however many years? You had a guy who couldn't talk publicly. You had a vice president who couldn't speak publicly. I know the girl who was in the last administration, the secretary of, whatever the hell she was, that goes out and does the press conferences. She's taking a lot of heat, but could you imagine having that job during the Biden administration?
No.
It had to be absolutely brutal.
Horrifying.
Right? The girl's got to go out and lie pretty much every day, and any type of question that made sense, she would just shut it down and walk out and leave. I mean, that had to be the worst job in America. There couldn't be a worse job.
And she did the worst job you could do.
Yeah.
At the worst job.
With what she had to work with, I actually feel bad for that woman. Cut that woman some slack, please. I mean, imagine that's your job, that you have to go out during that administration and face the media every day. But anyway, that's besides the point. That was incredible. The last press conference when he was out there, it was like people were climbing over each other, and he gets right in there, fires away and answers questions. And, he's incredible. There's nothing like this guy.
It seems
and how much he's done.
Yeah,
in
lot.
the short amount of time that he's been there.
So where's the opposition to him? It seems like all of a sudden, we spent 8 years hearing that, he's this evil tyrant who's going to suspend the Constitution and enslave the nation. And then he wins and there's like kind of no opposition. What happened? Like, do you know any liberals still?
Well, what's funny? I'm one of these guys, and you and I have had this conversation before. I don't judge anybody by their politics.
Yeah.
And I follow like CNN and MSNBC and all these other, and because I like to hear everybody. MSNBC, I don't even know how they're still on the air. They are the nuttiest. I had to unfollow. For me to do that, it's like, I love hearing everybody's opinion. They are nuts. It's like, I can't even listen to them. It's almost like a comic strip. Like it's a cartoon, that network. It's like a cartoon. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. And it's the whole, if Trump says it's blue, they say it's black. If it's, it's just, it's so bad. But yeah, no.
But
won by a landslide.
Anyone in your personal life?
No.
Like, do you feel like there's been a change?
Oh, yeah. There's not one person that I know that is a hardcore liberal and they're out there arguing about anything anymore. It's dead. It's all gone. Actually, the exact opposite. The people that I know that were very liberal, they're not very right, but they're definitely not very left.
I know.
Right?
And everyone seems to have accepted free speech as the status quo now. Like,
I think so.
You've been sticking with that for, through the middle of all of this, famously. But now people are like, yeah, okay, I disagree, but you get to say what you think.
Yeah. No,
Does it feel that way?
Yeah. It needs to be that way. You can never let that go. You let that go and we're all in big trouble, man. But I also felt like after the election, there was a sigh of relief. And not just in the United States, but all over the world. Here and other countries that we go to, it's just everybody is celebrating the fact that Trump won the election.
On both sides of the conflict.
I agree.
In Israel and the Arab countries, both, people were happy.
I agree. At the Power Slap event the other night, there are fans here, and I was talking to people and taking pictures and stuff, and people were saying to me, you have to tell Trump to stop this war. Trump has to stop this war.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're looking at the American president to help what's going on over here.
And I hope he will. And in Russia and Ukraine, I think the Russians and the Ukrainians, maybe not Zelensky, but I think most Ukrainians, I've never met a Ukrainian that's not for Trump. I've never met a Russian that's not for Trump. I mean, it's just interesting.
Could not agree with you more.
Because they think that, I mean, you've got fighters from all over the world.
Yep.
And the farther away they are from the United States, the more they are for Trump.
Well, did you ever notice that every time I have Trump at a UFC event, every fighter walks over to him and, pays respect to him, and all the fighters love him from all over the world. And it's been a huge sigh of relief since the election.
Anyone who's knowledgeable about physical health will tell you that sleep is absolutely essential. And here's a good way to get a better sleep. It's called Cozy Earth. We use them. They make bamboo sheets. That sounds a little bit weird. Try it. It's one of those things that's so weird, it's likely to be great. And in fact, it is great. They are soft, smooth, breathable. After a long day, slipping into Cozy Earth bamboo sheets is a deep pleasure. But it's not all that they sell. Cozy Earth has a long lineup: bedding, joggers, pajamas, lots of different ways to be comfortable in bamboo. It's very cool. Valentine's Day is coming up. It's a perfect time to try it. Buy it for someone you love. You get a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. You can roll around on Cozy Earth's bamboo sheets for a decade, and it's backed up from the company. And if you use the code Tucker, you get up to 40% off on your purchase. You go to CozyEarth.com, use the code Tucker. Don't forget, if asked in a post-purchase survey, let them know you heard about Cozy Earth from us. They're great. So the biggest change, I haven't talked to Mark Zuckerberg in a while. Then all of a sudden I see him and he looks completely different. He puts you on the meta board and he seems like a Trump guy. What is that?
I think what you saw, not just Zuckerberg, I think you see all the guys from Silicon Valley now that are, having dinner with Trump, showing up at the inauguration and creating a relationship with him. I feel like a lot of these people were, during the woke nutty madness that we went through, I guess I would call it during the COVID era, and a little before that, are also relieved that it's over. And I think a lot of people, there was very few people, there was a handful of people that actually stood up against this and weren't afraid to face, I don't know, whatever we might have faced during that thing. A lot of people got canceled. A lot of bad things happened to a lot of good people during that time. And, but there was a handful of people that stood up to it. And I think everybody's relieved that it's over.
Are you concerned that at your next meta meeting, you'll lock eyes with Mark Zuckerberg and he will steal your soul?
No,
do you not get that alien vibe at all?
I actually like Mark. No, listen, if I felt that way about Zuckerberg, I would have never been on the board. I would have never. So my head of PR actually hit me up one day and says, hey, Mark Zuckerberg's looking for your number. Can I give it to him? And I said, yeah, of course. So he called me and he said, would you mind coming up to my place in Tahoe and having dinner? And I said,
what's this place in Tahoe like?
I'll tell you. So I don't know Mark Zuckerberg, never talked to him, saw the movie. That's as much as I knew about Mark Zuckerberg.
Wow.
So I walk into his living room of his house and they put me in the living room to wait. And he's got this American flag on the wall with like 13 stars on it or whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm like, off to a good start. In the back, he's got a house right on the lake. The biggest American flag you've ever seen in your life ripping in the wind in the backyard.
Really?
100%. 100%. Then he comes in, we sit down, we have dinner, and we probably talk for 4 hours. And I walked away from that first meeting liking Mark. And we started to create a relationship from there. We talked, and he's a UFC fan, and we became friends. Then the whole Elon versus Mark Zuckerberg fight thing that was going on at that time, that was real, and I was in the middle of it, and I had a blast doing the negotiations with that thing, talking to Elon for an hour every night, talking to Mark an hour every night, and then I was literally—
What were the negotiations about?
About the fight, where it would be, what weight classes, this, that, what could you do, what couldn't you do? And I was literally doing conference calls with the government in Italy to do this thing in the Colosseum in Rome. And, you know, for the right number, the Colosseum was going to let us do that fight there. And then eventually, it started to fall apart. But while it lasted, it was fun. And through that, Mark and I became even closer. And then I flew from Italy to the RNC. I spoke at the RNC.
Yeah.
And I flew back to Italy on my vacation with my family. And I got a text from Mark that said, "Hey, can you talk for a minute?" Called him back, and he said, this is what he said to me. "I think you're a great businessman. You always seem to be on the right side of everything. And my company needs a backbone. I would be honored if you would sit on the board for Meta." And
this was right after your RNC speech?
Right after, as soon as I landed back in Italy.
He gave $350 million to Joe Biden's campaign in 2020. That's kind of wild that he's watching you at the RNC and is like, "I like what you have to say. I want you on the Meta board." Like, what do you make of that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting. You got to admit.
Yeah, but that's how it all went down. That's the beginning up until today of my relationship with Mark. And you know, I know a lot of people think my sister is as far right. My sister's like you, as far right as you could possibly get. During the COVID era,
she is a good person.
you met her. You and her hit it off in New York.
Totally, yes, yeah, I'm on her side.
I couldn't get you two apart in New York. But my sister during the COVID era, I'd have to say, "Kelly, stop texting me. Stop, okay? The world is not ending." So my sister had her feelings about Zuckerberg and a lot of other people that are far right. But I'm just telling you, my relationship.
Now, Kelly is not far right. Kelly's just basically a sensible person.
Kelly's as far right as you are.
So what did she think about you going on the Meta board?
She didn't love it, and but I said, "Listen, Mark Zuckerberg isn't what everybody thinks he is. He's not as bad as everybody thinks he is."
Well, I do think it was. I mean, we're just watching it from afar, not talking to you about it, but I thought the one thing that everyone knows about you is you're opposed to censorship. You're clearly, I mean, again, this week you came out and you said one of your fighters said something you thought was disgusting and you hated, but you're not firing him. Like, you've kind of taken a stand against censorship very publicly again and again and again. Facebook is known for censorship, so probably a good thing they're putting you on the board. Like, what's going to happen when you're sitting in a meeting like, we need to censor stuff we disagree with?
I think that's why I'm there. I'm not there for my technical capabilities. I can promise you that. And my,
do any programming?
What my theories on AI are and how we should, I know my role there, and I've already been in it. I mean, we've already had some situations and some things that we've dealt with. My first board meeting, actually in person, up in Silicon Valley, is a week after I fly from here to Sydney. We have a fight next Saturday. Then I fly home, and then like a week later is my first board meeting where we're not on Zoom. So I'm not. I know what my role is, and I'm the type of guy. I will speak at this thing when I can add value and when I think I got a lot to learn. Never been on a board before. Run a company, big company now that deals in hundreds of millions to billions of dollars, and a lot of the things that I do are by, I would guess I would just say gut and how I think we should handle it. It's not like, again, my head of PR, she's brilliant and I respect her very much, but it's not like the other night when I found out what Bryce Mitchell had said. It's not like we got a bunch of lawyers on the phone and we didn't, I got on Google and I started looking up World War II and, remind Bryce Mitchell on what a piece of shit Hitler was. Okay, and why he's not a good guy and why you wouldn't want to go fishing with him. And that was it. I saw people saying, "Oh, he read a canned." I don't ever read canned statements. Nobody writes anything for me, and lawyers are never involved when I go out and speak. Whatever. I'm writing down stats from World War II. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget. But nobody writes anything for me. Everything is exactly how I feel about it. whether you like it or not. I don't care. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you don't like it. This is my company, and I'll run it the way I want to.
Right. So when you say you know your role at Facebook and you say Zuckerberg said to you, I need spine on my board, do you feel like your role is to oppose censorship at Facebook?
No, I don't think that my role is to oppose censorship. I think that there's going to be decisions that need to be made on the fly. It's already happened. I mean, I've already been involved in a few things already in just a short time that I've been there. And I give my opinion on what I think should be done and how it should be handled. Everybody that I've met on the board already, they're all actually really good people and smart people, and we've all had really good interaction so far. So I'm really liking it. It's going to be my first board meeting. It's a 2-day thing. I don't know how long we're going to sit in there in these board meetings, but that'll be different and new for me, a new experience for me. But my interaction with all the other board members has been really, really good so far. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think that when I can add value, I will speak up. And at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg runs Meta.
Yeah.
And he'll make the final decisions. I think it's brilliant in the way that he brings people in that he likes and respects and wants to hear from, and everybody gives their opinion. And at the end of the day, Mark Zuckerberg makes the decisions.
So the whole point of market capitalism is consumer choice. You have a choice between products and services, and the competition between companies makes the goods and services better. That's the core idea. Unfortunately, there are an awful lot of monopolies out there. Monopolies are not good for consumers. They are not good for you. And one of the places where there's effectively a monopoly is in wireless contracts, but it's not a complete monopoly. You're probably paying way too much to use your cell phone, but now you have a choice. You don't have to pay $100 a month just to get a free phone. That's not a good deal. There's a company called PureTalk, which we use, that has no inflated prices. With a qualifying plan of just $45 a month, you can choose a free phone, an iPhone 14 or a Samsung Gallery. Then you get unlimited talk, text, 25 gigs of data, which is enough for most people, a mobile hotspot, all for that low price. And it's got the most dependable 5G network. So you get your free iPhone 14 or Samsung Galaxy by visiting puretalk.com/Tucker, and you switch to PureTalk today. America's wireless company, PureTalk. Do you think that we're at peak openness right now for the internet? It feels like.
Yep.
People have more freedom to say what they really think than I've ever seen. Can that last?
Well, I think that's a good question. You know, one of the things that I've learned in my short time at Meta is the far right think they're being suppressed. The far left think that it's too dangerous and not being policed enough. And the only place where there is true free speech is in America, and the rest of the world extorts them every day. That's what I've learned in my short.
Extorts them? What do you mean?
Extorts them. So if you are in some country whatever country that has, Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and something gets posted and stays up that they don't like, they'll fine them. All kinds of crazy.
Threaten to shut them down.
Yeah.
That's constant.
Daily.
Yeah. Well, it has political effect. I mean,
yeah, there's no doubt.
Those companies
very powerful.
They can bring down governments.
Very powerful.
And probably have, unwittingly or not.
They are. So when you think about Facebook, Instagram, X, et cetera, I mean, this is the new media. These are the Fox, the ABCs, the NBCs, of the future. This is like owning a major network or the New York Times or,
more powerful than that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like television plus newspapers because it has the emotional resonance and the full penetration. Like everywhere in the world, people are looking at this stuff. And
it's immediate. As soon as something comes out, the whole world knows instantly.
Right. So it's not surprising that country X, every other country, basically other than the United States, is going to be pushing Meta and Google and Elon at X to, tailor this or that according to their demands. But the United States is based on the idea that citizens get to say what they think, period. Mm-hmm. It's the first point in the Bill of Rights. So what matters is that they stay firm here. And do you think they will?
That's a good question. I think they will for the next 4 years. I think they will for the next 4 years. I think you see them all, except for Elon. I mean, let's be honest. Elon was a superhero through this whole.
That's for sure.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Where are we right now without Elon Musk? It's what he did was incredible. And
why do you think he did it?
Because I think he's smart, and I think I think that something about him is fearless. The fact that he would go in and spend the kind of money that he did to buy that thing, basically just to find out what went on. I mean, he is literally a superhero in this country right now, as far as I'm concerned. And I think what he did also made a lot of people in that field, I guess I'd say, braver and say, you know what, we should follow his lead. And obviously having this administration, there's nothing worse than when the government comes after you. When the Obama administration was in, they came after us for being a monopoly. So we bought this company that was bankrupt, turning it around, creating jobs and all these other things. And we got the government. We had to spend like $8 or $9 million at that time to defend ourselves against a monopoly suit from the government.
Meanwhile, Google actually is a monopoly.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of monopolies.
Well, there are a lot of monopolies. That's
exactly. You know? But yeah, so, you know, whenever you have the government coming after you, it's not fun.
So what'd you tell your, I'm sorry, I missed. What'd you tell your sister? She complains from the far right.
What's that?
When you said your sister complained about you joining the board, I forgot to ask you how you responded to it. What did you say to her?
Yeah, well, I told her the same thing that I just told you about how I felt about Mark. And let me ask you a question. Would you rather not have Meta and Mark Zuckerberg and everybody on our side? I mean, and by our side,
I'd rather have you influencing them. I think that's good.
By our side, I mean the side of common sense.
I agree. I totally agree.
The side of common sense. You want the Zuckerbergs of the world and the Googles and the Apples and, you know, the Elon Musk. You want as many allies on the side of common sense as possible. You don't want to distance yourself from these guys. You want to embrace them and try to figure out how to bring everybody into the common sense world, right? Yeah. I mean, isn't that what we all want? Why fight and battle and say, I would never sit on the board of Meta or whatever. If he thinks that I can add any value, why would I not do it? And I'm very into social media, and I think it's the future, and obviously AI is too. And I get to get inside and see and learn the future of this thing and have a hand in how it all plays out. Why would I not want to do that?
I think that's fair. So you say that for the next 4 years, social media in this country following the lead of Elon is likely to be open and free and less crazy, more common sense oriented, less woke, et cetera. What about the other professional sports leagues like NFL, NBA? Do they swing back into the center of America, or they continue on this self-destructive path?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's one I can't answer. What I do is I run mine the way I think it should. And again, I run it with what I call common sense.
Well, that's worked for you. So why wouldn't they try that?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say that the NFL is screwing up. I mean, the NFL is as powerful could be. The NBA, ratings are dropping, you know, they're having their issues. But it's hard to mess with the NFL. The NFL, you can not like the new kickoff thing. You can like some things they don't do, but the NFL absolutely kills it. It's the most powerful sport.
What do you think
America.
is going on with the NBA? Why are their ratings down?
I just think I'm an NBA fan.
Yeah,
I just went to the Laker-Celtics game a couple weeks ago, and I'll be at another Celtics game. And I just think that the NBA has gotten soft. And everybody sees it.
In what sense?
We were just talking about this at dinner tonight. I mean, if you look at the NBA when we grew up.
Yeah.
So I'm a lifelong diehard Celtics fan.
Well, yeah,
okay?
New England.
But when people ask me about idols and heroes and all these kind of stuff, so I've had people who've had influence on me, like Bruce Lee and Mike Tyson and lots of other people growing up. But Michael Jordan to me is, I've never met Michael Jordan, and I don't want to meet Michael Jordan. I don't ever want to meet him. I am
That's probably a good call.
biggest Michael Jordan fan ever, of his mentality, the way that I like killers, man. And Michael Jordan was a killer. And the stuff that his teammates say about him that everybody says, I love it. And the NBA just isn't like that. You haven't seen that since Kobe. It just doesn't have that. When you go back and think of the NBA from the 80s and 90s and all the different stars that you could remember from back then, and how it was just a tougher game. That, you know what I mean? It was a lot tougher, and so many fouls and flopping and all the stuff that happens today isn't what the NBA used to be and what made the NBA big.
You think they got too rich?
It happens. Happens in my business too. You get too rich and things change. But I wouldn't say that. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah. Money screws up a lot of things. Maybe money did. But I mean, the game changed and society changed and they did become richer. I don't know. That's a tough one to.
Will that happen to you? We have soft fighters, do you think, at some point?
Listen, everybody changes when you make a lot of money. When no matter what walk
soft fighters lose immediately.
No, but no matter what walk of life you're in, once you get to a certain level of success, you have to be a certain type of person to stay hungry and get out and fight every day. When we sold in 2016, 99% of the people said that I was going to retire and walk away. I'm not wired like that. I love Michael Jordan. Let me tell you what, you think I'm going to, no, that's the way that I'm wired too. I'm still out building, new brands and doing shit that I don't need to be doing, but I do it because I love it. But yeah, I could see, you know how many people, in a sale like mine in 2016 are just, you never see that guy again. They're done.
And what happens to him?
I don't know. I think you just go hang out. I don't know what the hell you do. I don't know what people like that do.
No, but that is actually kind of a big question, since there are an awful lot of people in our country, who, because there's so much money floating around, have just kind of checked out. They got too rich. Like, do you ever check up on them to see what happened to them?
No, I never have. It'd be interesting though. You should do a show on people who made it big and sold their company. Where are they now? What are they doing? What do you do every day?
They're suffering.
Yeah, gotta be, right?
Yeah, well,
can you imagine?
Once the fight is gone, life is gone.
I will never retire, ever. I will keep dogging this out until the day I drop dead.
Really?
I love it. Yeah, 100%.
You'll be like 80 years old at ringside?
Hopefully. You look at, I hate him. He's an asshole. But Bob Arum,
yeah,
the boxing promoter,
yeah,
he's 94 years old, right? I hate him. This guy's the biggest douchebag of all time. But
so you're not for him, you're saying?
Oh, he's a douchebag. So I am at the Aces WNBA game,
yeah,
right? Bob Arum is 94 years old. 94. It's at 9 o'clock at night. He's sitting over there courtside. I'm like, holy shit. Bob Arum is here. This is crazy. This guy's 94 years old. No, I didn't. He wouldn't have seen it anyway. But he's sitting over there. It's 8:30. I shit you not. 2 days later, I'm watching a fight. Bob Arum is in Saudi Arabia, ringside, at a boxing event. 2 days later, he's in London at a press conference. He's 94 years old. I hate him. But you got to respect it, right? How do you not respect that?
No, but you said, I would have, but then you said he was at a WNBA game?
Yeah.
And that kind of wrecked it for me. Were you watching that on TV? Because you weren't.
No, I got courtside seats at the Las Vegas Aces. Absolutely. Kelsey Plum is one of my good friends, and I go there and I support her as much as possible. Not at all. No way. Love it. I'm an NBA fan. I know,
it's WNBA.
Yeah. I'm in.
Dana White, thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
See you, man.
You too.
So it turns out that YouTube is suppressing this show. On one level, that's not surprising. That's what they do. But on another level, it's shocking. With everything that's going on in the world right now, all the change taking place in our economy and our politics, with the wars we're on the cusp of fighting right now, Google has decided you should have less information rather than more. And that is totally wrong. It's immoral. What can you do about it? Well, we could whine about it. That's a waste of time. We're not in charge of Google. Or we could find a way around it, a way that you could actually get information that is true, not intentionally deceptive. The way to do that on YouTube, we think, is to subscribe to our channel. Subscribe. Hit the little bell icon to be notified when we upload and share this video. That way you'll have a much higher chance of hearing actual news and information. So we hope that you'll do that.